Do you use social media?
Do you use any social media platforms?
I'm actually very busy these days. I like Facebook and YouTube. I watch a lot of viral stuff there. I also used to check out Twitter feed for news. You?
Oh, I'm addicted to social media. I like being in the loop with current events by following news outlets on social media.
You seem to spend a lot of time on it, right?
Yeah, I do. I use Facebook a lot. I like to watch YouTube. Instagram is also among my favorite platforms.
A friend of mine also uses Instagram a lot. He posts a lot of pictures while being abroad. He likes to check out the feed on Instagram for related topics.
Do you think social media is bad?
Look, I'm not saying that all social media is evil. Certainly, they've changed the way we look at the world. But most platforms are addictive.
Yes.
And don't forget that, in most cases, it's hard to check the source of information. A lot of fake news.
On the other side, you can follow accounts there with less or more verified sources.
Still, to me, it looks like a waste of time. You don't agree, right?
Well, it's not cut and dried. There are cases where social media is indispensable.
For example?
Imagine you're abroad and you want to communicate with your family. How to do it without social media?
Phone call?
Yes, but still, using social media seems more convenient for many people.
I agree, but still, social media has a lot that can be considered a bad side. In the past, I also used social media a lot. I posted a lot of content. Once, I was stunned by a lot of negative comments. And that is another side of social media. Trolls.
And haters.
Right.
Is social media important to you?
Do you think life would be easier without social media?
No, I don't advocate for this. I would say social media increases the quality of my life a lot.
How?
I can find a lot of information easily on social media platforms. And it's free. It's easy to find out about any part of the world even without leaving your apartment. Isn't it funny? Of course, there are other sides, like addictiveness, fake news, wasting of time, and all that relates to social media. What we need to do is to use it in the right way.
I see. Interesting.
Social media bubble.
You see, this is a problem, the social media bubble. People get isolated in their own stream of information. The social media platforms give them what they're interested in.
Why, it's not a problem for me. If I learn something, why not give me more of that?
It narrows down your viewpoint.
You mean I now only know part of what is going on, in fact?
Exactly, that's the problem.
But how to correct that?
I think you cannot do anything about that. It's just how algorithms work. Of course, people can follow other accounts they're not particularly interested in. But will it work?
I think it won't work. What social media platforms do you use and why?
I really like YouTube. It helps me a lot to learn. And it's free. I use other platforms as well. Facebook and Instagram are among my favorites.
The same. I like to use Facebook to keep in touch with all my friends and acquaintances. YouTube is good for educational purposes. Also, there's a lot of entertaining content on YouTube. And don't forget about music.
I like to pass time on Instagram.
LinkedIn is indispensable for business contacts. How often do you check your social media accounts?
Hey, how often do you check your social media accounts?
Oh, I'm on them quite regularly. I usually check my feeds a few times a day.
Really? I've been trying to cut down. It feels like I spend too much time on social media lately.
Yeah, it can be a bit addictive. I find myself scrolling through my feeds even when I don't have a specific reason.
I get that. Do you think being on social media a lot affects how you see things?
Honestly, it might. Sometimes I realize I'm mostly seeing posts from people with similar views, and it feels like my perspective is getting a bit narrow.
I've noticed that too. It's like we're in these online bubbles that only show us what we want to see.
Exactly. It's essential to be mindful of that and try to diversify the sources of information we're exposed to.
Totally agree. Maybe I'll take a break for a while and see how it goes.
That sounds like a good idea. It's refreshing to step back sometimes.
What types of content do you usually share on your social media profiles?
Hey, I was curious. What types of content do you usually share on your social media profiles?
Oh, it varies. I mostly share photos from my travels, some personal updates, and occasionally interesting articles or quotes.
Nice. I've seen your travel posts. They're awesome. Do you ever worry about sharing too much personal stuff?
Yeah, I try to find a balance. I want to share meaningful parts of my life, but I'm mindful not to overshare. Privacy is important.
Totally get that. I've been thinking about my own social media use lately. Do you think about the kind of image you're portraying online?
Definitely. I try to keep it positive and authentic. I know some people curate their online presence, but I want mine to reflect who I really am.
That's a good approach. Do you ever feel pressure to post a certain way, especially with the way social media can be so curated?
Yeah, at times. There's this unspoken pressure to have a perfect feed. But I've learned to prioritize genuine moments over perfection.
Wise choice. It's easy to get caught up in the online image game. How do you manage to stay authentic?
I think it's about being true to myself and not comparing too much with others. It's my space to share, and it doesn't have to be perfect.
That's a healthy perspective. I should take a page from your book and worry less about the likes and more about being genuine.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, social media should be a reflection of you, not just what gets the most likes. How has social media changed the way you stay informed about current events?
Hey, have you noticed how social media has changed the way we stay informed about current events?
Absolutely. I used to rely more on traditional news sources, but now I get a lot of updates from my social media feeds.
Same here. It's so convenient to have news right at our fingertips. But, do you ever worry about the reliability of information on social media?
Yeah, that's a concern. With the speed at which news spreads online, it's crucial to fact-check and verify before sharing or believing everything we see.
True. It's like a constant stream of information, and it's easy to get overwhelmed. How do you filter through all the noise?
I've started following reliable news outlets and journalists on social media. That way, I get a mix of perspectives without relying solely on user-generated content.